Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is an episode 1 review of the new TV show Dominion. Now Dominion is actually based on an existing film property, that property being Legion. Now if you haven't seen that film, I strongly suggest going and watching that before seeing this TV show. But I'll kind of cover that in a little bit. Now, the original Legion film came out a few years ago and starred Paul Bettany and really told the story of how the angels are kind of revolting and kind of want to wipe out humanity because they're kind of jealous of humanity, basically. And the only angel kind of on humanity's side is the Archangel Michael, who in the film is played by Paul Bettany. And this kind of really was the kind of the opening salvo, I guess, of this angelic war. And it had some fantastic visuals. The angels very much kind of look like demons and things like that. Now this series actually takes place a number of years later. I'm guessing probably maybe 20-25 years later, after the events of Legion. And its influences are quite apparent. It obviously is taking a lot of cues from that movie. Now, when I first heard about this film, I actually thought it was really just going to be an adaptation of the kind of the existing film, and they sort of just tell it again, like we've seen in some of these sort of film to sort of TV adaptations. But this really is a sequel. That's why I'm saying it's very, very important and beneficial to you if you actually see the Legion film first. It does give you some exposition at the beginning of this series in case you haven't, but it's going to be easier watching it if you have watched that film. And what we have here is a kind of a futuristic society where humans have been battling angels for a number of years, and I'm guessing the majority of the human population has been killed. And what we have, it seems, there's a variety of these sort of human settlements. The one focus on in this series is what remains of Las Vegas. I just called it Vega, I think. And it focuses on a number of characters. Now, as well as Legion, I can see influences from other movies, specifically The Hunger Games, because it kind of sets up that there's the kind of the society in this kind of futuristic landscape. It kind of reminds me of that. You've got the kind of the haves and have-nots, and there's sort of different districts, so to speak, and we kind of see visitors from another district appearing in this sort of pilot episode, and the class divide is sort of very apparent, things like that. The other thing it reminds me of is actually Game of Thrones, but it does seem to be there's going to be kind of lots of this kind of political shenanigans and kind of stabbing in the backs and, you know, people sleeping with other people. So it kind of obviously has taken elements of these kind of very sort of popular franchises, I think, and kind of added them to this existing Legion movie. And the pilot really focuses on the character called Alex, who I guess is going to be the hero. Now, I guess this is mild spoiler territory, but I'm going to go with what happened in the Legion film. So in the Legion film, basically, the main hero is this guy called Jeep, played by an actor, Lucas Black, and he essentially saved this little baby who is destined to be this kind of the savior of humanity. Alex is that baby all grown up, and basically he's kind of unaware of his destiny at this point, and this is kind of just the introduction to him finding out ultimately he is this sort of chosen baby, and Michael, who is this sort of archangel who's the protector of humanity, looks like he's going to be the kind of the mentor and really try and help him and cover what it all means. And it's sort of setting up this kind of this oncoming angel war with the bad guy Gabriel, who we kind of seen sort of very briefly, admittedly, and his kind of army of sort of lesser, almost demonic-looking angels. And it's a very, very well-made pilot. I was actually quite surprised the scope of it. It's actually far sort of grander than I actually thought it was going to be. I think it's got a pretty decent cast. You've got Anthony Stewart Head there, who I guess is going to play almost the human bad guy. He's just kind of like one of the sort of the guys who's in control of this kind of this Vegas city, and he's going to be at odds with obviously other human characters as well. There's a whole host of kind of love triangles and things like that. This is why I'm saying it kind of does remind me of kind of Game of Thrones. Everyone's going to have their own sort of, you know, motivations that they're going to be going after. There's some good action scenes. I thought the special effects were very well done for a TV show, and actually it's a lot grander in scale. I wouldn't expect it to be this kind of futuristic landscape. No, it looks fantastic. I have to say they did a decent job on the effects. There's some great effects of these kind of the angels kind of flying around. There's a little bit at the beginning where we see this kind of like this woman fat angel kind of jumping around that does look a little bit CGI, but hey, you know, this is a TV budget here we're talking about here, so I can forgive that. The only issues I have with this pilot is I thought sometimes the dialogue was a little bit cheesy and stilted. As if not the whole, you know, pilot, but there's some instances where the dialogue just comes across as a little bit cheesy and just kind of a bit crappy, to be honest. There's a few sort of scenes here and there.
We continue to hope. No, to believe that the chosen one, our savior, will someday reveal himself to us.
You know I admire your work with Vega's less fortunate. You of all people know how important it is that our faith must be nurtured. It must be kept like a promise.
I've got to say also, I don't think it did a particularly good job explaining how this kind of the world works. In a way, we get the sense, obviously, that there are these other sort of territories outside of this Las Vegas area, and how the class sort of are divided. They have some kind of numerical system, but I don't think that was kind of quite explained well enough. I mean, I got the gist of it, but I think some people maybe kind of a little bit lost on it. So, relatively minor criticism. Some dialogue wasn't particularly good, and I don't think it particularly did a great job of it really explaining the world that this series habitats. But obviously this is only the pilot episode. That really is going to be built on over the sort of series, I could imagine. But if you're watching this, cold, you just may be a little bit perplexed by it if you maybe missed some bits of it. But overall, I thought it's a damn good show. It looks like it's going to be a decent sort of science fiction series and have some fantastic elements in it. I think that the makeup and the angels look suitably terrifying. If you've kind of seen the film Legion, you'll kind of know what I mean. And it looks like they've kind of set it up that there's going to be a lot more sort of going on rather than this strip. I'm hoping it's not going to get too soapy. That's the only problem with some of these things. We have all these sort of like love triangles and things like that. It can get a little bit soapy sometimes. So I'm hoping it doesn't go too far in that route. But overall, I was really impressed. This is definitely a series I'm going to be sort of following. And I really enjoyed this particular opening episode. So I'm going to give it a 7.5. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to you next time. Bye for now.